In our headlines on this Monday afternoon, March 11th, here in South Korea. The government is dispatching 20 military doctors and 138 public health doctors to 20 hospitals for 4 weeks starting today to minimize disruptions to essential care amid the prolonged walkout by doctors in training. Meanwhile, President Yoon reaffirms his pledge to transform Korea's Kangwon State into a leading digital and bio-innovation center during the 19th policy briefing open to the public earlier this morning. Over in Hollywood, big screen production Oppenheimer dominates this year's Academy Awards with 7 trophies in major categories, much to the delight of fans worldwide. We start with the measures in motion to minimize disruptions to essential healthcare at hospitals amid the prolonged absence of doctors in training. Our Kim Jong-sil has the latest.
The massive collective walkout by trainee doctors has now entered its 4th week. On Sunday, Health Minister Cho Kyu-hong announced plans to maintain the number of doctors amid the health service disruption.
We will also ensure the emergency care system is fully operational. We will dispatch 20 military doctors and 138 public health doctors to 20 hospitals for 4 weeks starting March 11th.
He added the government will swiftly use the nearly 130 billion won of reserves, roughly $100 million decided last week. The reserves are to support emergency on-call labor costs for medical personnel and help hospitals recruit medical staff during this time. The government also will increase compensation for doctors in essential medical care fields. This is because general practitioners are paid less due to the country's health insurance system, where fees for essential medical care are often set too low, according to the doctors. Regarding the government pilot project that began last month to give nurses the authority to practice partial medical procedures, the minister disagreed that it created the risk of illegal medical services.
The pilot project is intended to protect the public health while clarifying the scope of work so that nurses can focus on protecting patients without worrying about other things.
Meanwhile, professors of Seoul National University College of Medicine, the country's top medical school, will hold an emergency meeting later on Monday. The professors will likely discuss the current situation and come up with ideas on whether to engage in a collective resignation. South Korea has one of the lowest doctor-to-patient ratios in the OECD, with specialist doctors such as plastic surgeons and dermatologists some of the highest paid. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
President Yoon has reaffirmed his pledge to transform Korea's Kangwon State into a leading digital and bio-innovation center. Intentions to this end were shared during the 19th government policy briefing open to the public earlier on this Monday. The government will reportedly aim for an early completion of the so-called 333 project in Kangwon, which includes 30,000 jobs, 3,000 companies, and a 300% sales growth in the digital sector. President also spoke of a Kangwon hydrothermal energy cluster in Chuncheon City, using water from the Soyanggang River to cool data centers and then reusing the heated water at neighboring smart farms. What's more, a corporate innovation park is also in the cards in Chuncheon City, as well as an injection of some $179 million for a strategic biocenter in the province. In other news, a growing number of big-name food and beverage companies are seeking to embrace the popularity of K-pop into their marketing strategies. And the latest such campaign by Coca-Cola is making some great waves. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin has more.
Ever tasted Hallyu, or the Korean wave? Well, now you can, thanks to Coca-Cola's latest limited edition drink, the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar K-Wave. Drawing inspiration from K-pop, the company says its flavor will help consumers relive what it calls the excitement they felt when they first became a K-pop fan.
I can feel that big companies are definitely paying a lot of attention to the Korean market and the K-pop scene and how much their influence has risen.
What also stands out is the brand's logo in Korean at the center of the can. For the first time in its century-long history, Coca-Cola has incorporated another language into its logo. Why is this?
The growing global fascination with Korean content and artists has reshaped how we see the Korean writing system, turning it into a sought-after design element. In the past, using Korean was a challenge for global brands due to its uniqueness. However, as Korean became more familiar, the language now strikes a perfect balance between distinctive charm and universal appeal.
And Coca-Cola is not the only one to incorporate Korean in its logos and packaging. This Korean food company previously had an English-only logo, but introduced Korean into its branding this year. Another trend observed at the K-Wave Coke is the rise of K-pop stars as models for food and beverage brands. Coca-Cola's K-Wave's launch campaign featured groups Stray Kids, ITZY, and NMIX. McDonald's recently collaborated with New Jeans, and Daesang Group's kimchi brand Jongga partnered with the 17-member Hoshi.
I think after the success of BTS, K-pop fans started to want to know more about their artists' cultural backgrounds, like what they buy or eat, not just their songs. Brands are capitalizing on this curiosity, selecting K-pop artists to represent their products globally, so that they can connect with a broader audience.
As K-content continues to attract overseas consumers and the market expands, expect to see more Korean language and artists taking the spotlight. 송유진, Arirang News.
And riding high on the wave of K-content popularity, Korea is seeing a greater proportion of young foreign travelers to the country, lured by K-sites, sounds and tastes. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest numbers.
From K-pop idols BTS and Blackpink to Korea's Oscar-winning Parasite and Netflix smash hit series Squid Game, and even tteokbokki and kimbap, the growing love for Korea's music, entertainment, food, and culture have led to a huge increase in the flow of younger tourists coming into the country. According to the Korea Culture and Tourism Institute on Monday, a survey conducted on 4,000 foreign travelers who visited South Korea between October and December last year showed that over 31% became interested in traveling to the country after encountering Korean wave content. And the variety of foods appearing in Korean movies and dramas has led to more and more people from around the globe becoming interested in Korean food outside of the usual bibimbap or Korean barbecue. Data from the Korea Tourism Organization on Monday also showed that visitors to South Korea are getting younger thanks to the growing interest in the Korean wave. Among the over 11 million foreign visitors who arrived in South Korea in 2023, 35.6% of them were under the age of 30. More specifically, those aged 21 to 30 accounted for 25.3%, or 2.79 million people, while those aged 20 or younger accounted for 10.3%, or 1.14 million people. The proportion of foreign visitors under the age of 30 stood at 27.6% in 2013, an 8.1 percentage point jump from 10 years earlier. And to cater to the growing number of younger visitors to the country, the Culture Ministry, alongside the Korea Tourism Organization, are looking to bring even more foreign travelers into the country by targeting those interested in esports and K-beauty. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Despite relentless efforts by mediators, chances of a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas before the start of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan have been rendered virtually unlikely. Our Shin Se-byuk explains.
The chances of the Israel-Hamas conflict continuing into the holy month of Ramadan without a ceasefire have increased. With Ramadan set to begin on March 11th, the Islamic holy month could potentially see an escalation in the ongoing war. Israel and Hamas engaged in talks last month with mediators from the United States, Qatar, and Egypt regarding a ceasefire during Ramadan. However, these talks reached an impasse in Cairo. Israel was not present at those talks and cited the absence of a list of hostages and detainees to be released by Hamas as the reason for its non-participation. Hamas argued that compiling such a list before a ceasefire was unfeasible, as hostages are scattered throughout the Gaza Strip and are held by various armed factions, not solely by Hamas. The two parties have also not managed to narrow their differences on several crucial issues. Hamas is demanding the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and the initiation of talks for a permanent ceasefire, whereas Israel insists on the dismantling of Hamas and the rescue of hostages. The international community is particularly concerned about the Al-Aqsa Mosque in East Jerusalem, which for a long time has been a flashpoint for tensions. Traditionally, this site has been reserved for Muslim worship, with Jewish worshippers restricted to the Western Wall in Jerusalem Old City. While non-Muslims are usually allowed to visit, access is restricted during the last 10 days of Ramadan to prevent tensions between Muslims and Jews. These rules, however, have often been disregarded. During Ramadan, Palestinian residents and Arab Israelis have frequently locked the mosque doors, demanding religious freedom. In response, Israeli police have taken actions citing the maintenance of public order. Such actions have led to violent clashes, escalating to armed confrontations between Israel and Palestinian armed groups, including Hamas. As Ramadan is set to commence, tensions are expected to escalate, likely worsening the situation in the region. 신세벽, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, over in Hollywood, Los Angeles played host to the world's oldest entertainment awards ceremony, the Oscars, and this year, Oppenheimer reigned over the stage. Our Choi Seong has the highlights.
The biggest night of the year in Hollywood has come to a close. The 96th Academy Awards took place on Sunday night local time at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles, hosted by the famous American comedian Jimmy Kimmel. The first winner of the event was Da'Vine Joy Randolph for Best Supporting Actress for her role in The Holdovers. Director Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer has won Best Picture. The biopic has also won Oscars for Best Director, Best Original Score, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Actor for Cillian Murphy, and Best Supporting Actor for Robert Downey Jr., who wins his first Oscar for the category. Oppenheimer was nominated for 13 awards, including Best Picture and Best Supporting Actress for Emily Blunt. The film has already swept other major films awards such as the BAFTAs and Golden Globes. Another noteworthy award is Best Actress. Emma Stone of Poor Things won that award, beating Lily Gladstone of Killers of the Flower Moon. Poor Things, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, is one of the most talked about movies this Oscar season, with 11 nominations, while Lily Gladstone would have become the first Native American to win Best Actress. Meanwhile, Barbie, by director Greta Gerwig, last year's biggest box office hit, has 8 nominations and so far has won the Oscar for Best Original Song. The Best Original Screenplay award goes to Anatomy of a Fall, directed by Justin Triet, which beat Past Lives by the Korean-Canadian director Celine Song. Past Lives was also nominated for Best Picture. The Oscars are nominated and voted on by the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences across 20 categories. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
In sports news, badminton champion An Se-young has clinched her second trophy of the season at the French Open. On Sunday, An came from behind to beat Japanese rival Akane Yamaguchi by 2-1 at the women's singles event in Paris. An's win comes 7 weeks after a thigh injury forced her to withdraw from the Indonesia Open. Now, this is her second win of the year since she grabbed gold at the Malaysia Open in January. On the football field, Korea's Heung-min put on display some strategic footwork back on Sunday to seal Tottenham Hotspur's 0-4 win over Aston Villa in the Premier League. Our Yoon covers his performance.
Tottenham Hotspur's team captain Son Heung-min scored a goal and set up 2 others in the Premier League game on Sunday as his team beat Aston Villa in English Premier League. At kickoff, Spurs were 5 points behind Villa, who sat in the coveted 4th place spot and the place in the Champions League that comes with it. But 4 second-half goals cut that gap to 2 points. Spurs broke the deadlock 5 minutes after the restart through James Maddison. And only 3 minutes later, Son set up Brennan Johnson for the second goal of the game. Any chance for Villa's comeback became difficult after John McGinn was shown a straight red card in the 65th minute for a dangerous challenge on Destiny Udogie. Spurs kept the pressure on scoring 2 goals in stoppage time, with Son scoring the game's 3rd goal and setting up the 4th goal from substitute Timo Werner. The win was Spurs' largest victory in the Premier League since January 2023. 31-year-old Son, who was named player of the match, brought his Premier League tally for the season to 14 goals and 8 assists. His goal was also his 159th for Spurs since he signed in 2015, joining club legend Cliff Jones in 5th place on the all-time goal-scoring list. Son is now tied in 4th place for Premier League goals this season. Ian-jin, Arirang News.
Back on the local front, Customs and Border Protection authorities here are looking to incorporate artificial intelligence to enhance their inspections at entry ports. Our Chongwon-ju has more.
Packages from overseas pass through X-ray security checkpoints. If an object is detected that differs from the cargo information on the import declaration form, a red line appears on the screen immediately. This integrated video search technology utilizing AI is scheduled to be used in the field from 2026 after development is completed by the end of next year.
With the recent boom in e-commerce, there has been a significant increase in items imported through direct shipping. AI assists workers in customs duties, making it easier and more accurate to scan.
AI technology is also utilized in security areas. A CCTV system to be introduced at Incheon International Airport starting this year can selectively track potential criminals among the multitude of travelers in real time. It can also recognize items that individuals possess, thereby preventing smuggling and other crimes.
When travelers designated as potential offenders, based on penalized information, enter the customs entry point, their faces will be recognized and stored on the server.
By utilizing big data consisting of over 70 items such as exporting countries and importers, AI is used to predict high-risk cargo and generate various training material for X-ray interpretation. As cross-border purchases surged to 120 million last year and brought the issue of crime-related imports to the forefront of societal concern, the South Korean government's response using AI technology is also continuing to progress. Chongwon-ju, Arirang News.
And staying on the tech front, a team of researchers here are moving closer to making reality the concept of nanorobots traveling around the body to tackle diseased cells. Our Kim Da-mi reports.
A ray of light is shrinking a submarine to a size where it can travel through human blood vessels. Nanorobots have long been an imaginary subject matter for science fiction movies, one that has been close to impossible to achieve.
There has been great interest in the topic, but the research is difficult. Its microscopic size makes it difficult to put in an engine, gears, or sensors.
This bottle of liquid is full of nanorobots developed by a local research team. Under the microscope, there is a round nanorobot, only 200 nanometers or 0.0002 millimeters in size. When the magnetic field is turned off, there is no movement. But with the magnetic field turned on, the nanorobot moves in a circular motion. The robot's engine is iron oxide coated with a golden artificial DNA. With a magnetic force, the iron oxide rotates to generate power, which makes it act like an engine. Surrounding the engine is a porous gold shell coated with DNA. This acts as a rotor, making the robot rotate itself. When the DNA information of the robot detects a matching gene, the engine engages with the rotor and rotates together, acting like a clutch that transmits engine power to a rotor. Which engines the nanorobots will interact with can be set by altering the DNA information coding on the robot engine and rotor.
DNA, as we all know, can be encoded, so it has a certain codable function, and it only responds to specific inputs.
The research team said it has also been successful in activating a target gene by mechanically pulling specific receptors from the nanorobot. The researchers also added that the rotational motion that the nanorobot moves in can have various applications, saying that complex algorithms can be assigned to these nanorobots by coding the DNA on multiple robots. This is expected to be applicable in administering medication or other such treatment methods. The goal for the research team is to make this nanorobot an autonomous robot that can make itself to a designated target point in the body on its own. 김다미, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In Indonesia, floods and landslides in the country's West Sumatra province have killed at least 19, while 7 are still missing. Indonesia's rescue agency reported on Sunday that some 80,000 people in the Pesisir Selatan district of West Sumatra have been evacuated to temporary government shelters, while 150 rescuers have been drafted in for additional support. The head of the local search and rescue agency said most severe damage was seen in the southern coastal area. The area affected has seen several days of torrential rain. In India, exiled Tibetans residing in the country took to the streets on Sunday to protest against Chinese occupancy of their homeland. Large crowds of protesters gathered in New Delhi and in the northern town of Dharamsala to commemorate National Tibetan Uprising Day on March 10th. Protesters were seen marching with flags, banners and slogans with raised voices against the Chinese oppression. One protester said they were demonstrating in India because Tibetans in Tibet cannot, while another dragged a poster of Chinese President Xi Jinping through the streets tied to his vehicle. This year also marks 65 years since the Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, was exiled from Tibet. China has ruled Tibet since its army invaded the region in 1950. In Lebanon, a 4-month-old lion cub was found and taken into care by an animal charity in its capital Beirut on Saturday. The baby lion's owner had reported it lost or stolen earlier in the week. However, a post on social media showed a man with a chained lion cub, prompting urgent action from police and animal rights activists. Authorities handed the 4-month-old cub to the animal rights group Animals Lebanon, which will care for it before securing a sanctuary for the animal. Since the adoption of an animal protection law in 2017, keeping wild animals in captivity is a criminal act in Lebanon. Kim Xiang, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. After some picture-perfect weather on Sunday afternoon, the new week is kicking off under cloudy conditions with rain. Rain starts this afternoon from Jeju and Jeollado provinces, gradually spreading to the rest of the southern regions as the day goes on. Then it will rain in central regions late tonight and will continue nationwide through Tuesday. Further south will receive heavier rainfall with snow in the forecast for mountainous regions in Kangwon province. Meanwhile, central parts of the country will see just spotty rain. But spring is still well underway with wide temperature swings between lows and highs. Those in Gyeongju could have gaps of more than 15 degrees Celsius today, so please take good care of yourself. Meanwhile, Seoul gets up to 11 degrees, Gwangju, Daegu topping out at 13 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Then decent air quality nationwide today. This round of wet weather will bring spring warmth to the country. Highs will reach the mid-teens as the week goes on under brighter skies. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Right, and those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, and today we delve into a scheduled summit for democracy to be hosted by Seoul next week. See you back in a few minutes.